I haven't made a video in a while, though I have been watching, and the theme of most videos that are worth watching anyway seem to be, it seems to be saving the world, I guess, a good way to put it. Or at least everybody is trying to point something out that's wrong with the world in order to compel everybody watching to do something about it. And I've been listening and, agreeing with most of them and realizing that there are so many problems. I mean, I suppose we could sum them up in a couple ways. We have ecological problems, we have economic problems, and we have social problems. And I know it's dark out here, but these are dark times. Ecologically dark, economically dark, and socially dark. And of course, socially also implies personally. These are personally dark times, unsettling times, because nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows why this is happening. Nobody knows where it's going to end up. And, that's all because nobody knows what's going on right here, right now. Our history is constantly being reinterpreted, you could say, based on new information, but it's really based on, the political popularities of the time, whatever happens to be in favor, whatever the ruling class is preaching. That's what history is, and it's constantly changing as we go along. And the future, of course, is the same way. It's projected by whatever it is we desire now, whatever it is we think we lack now. So we're all stuck in this mysterious, eternal moment, trying to figure out what's happened so we can plan on what's going to happen. And none of us are on the same page at all. We used to be, back when language was brand new, and the one story that one person or group of priests had written or handed down just vocally, orally over the years, that was reality, and we weren't really able to question it because we hadn't really talked to each other much. We hadn't really talked to ourselves much and written our own books. And now we have. Now we've talked to each other a lot. We've read a lot of books. We've surfed the web, most of us, for almost 10 years now, and had any bit of information at our fingertips, basically, which is a totally new kind of intelligence that never existed with books, with the printed word on paper, as opposed to a virtual global network. And so we're confused now. We have all of this input, all of this stuff to consider about what's going on in the world. I mean, me personally, I have trouble sometimes, some days, putting a coherent thought about it together. Because where do you start? Where do you build your foundation? On what do your thoughts rest, and how do you justify them? I mean, you can speak and continually justify what you've already said, and then justify your justification for what you've said, and justify the justification, and you can continue speaking, and you can make a whole career out of being a philosopher who's constantly composing some coherent system of thoughts, and then responding to the criticisms and slightly altering them, and then responding to new criticisms and slightly altering the system. And you can do that until you die, and then once you die, hopefully your disciples pick up that same activity. But it's not like the solution comes. The final thought cannot be thought. The final word cannot be uttered without that final word somehow nullifying all the words which came before it. Which I guess, if there's a beginning to history, if there's a beginning to language, to the point where man became conscious of being able to speak about the world and conscious of all that that implies, that duality that man is able to pull out of the world, the pre-linguistic world of unity, that's what it's all about. That's what the essence of humanity is. And that's what gave rise to history. And if it had that beginning, then it must have an end, I would assume, because what sense are we to make of a beginning with no end? And so, in one way or another, we all think the end is coming.